Hi, so this is Coach Fred here going over your quiz 2, and I'm going to be on the back page on the review problems. I noticed that a lot of you are still struggling with some of the things that you learned prior to spring break in about linear functions. So first, let's clarify slope of a line. To find the slope of a line, you do the change in y over the change in x, which is also a formula, which means change means subtract. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. These are the points, and each of those represent an x and a y. So we can label them x1, y1, x2, y2. So it's change in y over change in x. So we would have to do -7 minus 9 all over 5 minus 5. All right, and that would give me -16 over 0. Now, this is tricky, and it's something I understand why it's hard. You can't divide by 0. That is an undefined value. It does not exist, okay? So this actually means undefined. Undefined. When a slope is undefined, it means that it has no rise or no run. But it does have a line. It is a vertical line. All right, now if I had gotten 0 over 16, let's pretend I'd gotten the slope, and that actually is 0, and that means that it is a horizontal line. And I have this really fun mnemonic that I use to help me remember these two, because these are called special slopes. All right, and that mnemonic is Hoy Vux. Now, if you want to know what it means and how to use it, because it's really helpful, you better ask me, okay? And I'll know you watched the video because you asked me. All right, so I'm going to move on. The next question was, given the line y equals 5x plus 1, state the slope of the line that's parallel to it and perpendicular to it. All right, well, first of all, you have to notice that this is in the slope y-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b form. M is always the slope, so my slope of this line is 5. So m is 5. Parallel lines have the same slope. So if I want the slope of a line that's parallel to it, it would be 5. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. Reciprocal means flip. So think of this as 5 over 1. So a perpendicular slope would be m equals -1/5. Those are two concepts that we want to make sure you remember, okay? All right, some of us struggled on this one. It says find the slope from the table. Now, I actually do this in a very easy way. I look at the table and I look at the change in y and the change in x directly from the table. So I ask myself from -2 to 1, what is changing? Well, I'm going up 1. From -1 to 0, I'm going up 1. From 0 to 1, I'm going up 1. And from 1 to 2, I'm going up 1. So the change in x is 1. Then I look at the change in the y. From 7 to 9, I'm going up 2. Each of these are going up 2. So that means the change in y is 2 over the change in x, which is 1. So my slope is 2. Okay? Now the y-intercept. Lots of you plugged these points in and used point slope to try and get the y-intercept, but a y-intercept is where x is equal to 0. The y-intercept is on the table for me. That is the y-intercept. You always want to look for the points that have zeros on them. They really help. So I know my y-intercept is 0, 11. So since I have a y-intercept and I have a slope, I can substitute those values into slope y-intercept form. So m is the slope, so y equals 2x. 11 is b, so plus 11. All right. And then the most important thing with lines is, can we interpret the y-intercept and the slope? So here's the function. It shows the cost of an ice cream sundae with different numbers of toppings. Now, I gave it to you with function notation, which just is another way for me to write y, but instead of giving you y equals mx plus b, I gave it to you in another form, y equals b plus mx. It's the same thing, just written using the commutative property, which is how it is often given on standardized tests, so I want you to feel comfortable with both ways. Now, we've talked about that the b is the starting value of whatever you're looking at, and m is the rate of change. But when I ask for it in context, that's not what I'm asking you to tell me. So let's look at this. It says the function below shows the cost of an ice cream sundae with different numbers of toppings. What is the y-intercept? Well, the y-intercept was 225. So let's think about that. If that's the starting value of the sundae, okay, if that's the starting value of the sundae, well, then that means that's the cost with no toppings. And that's what it means. It's the cost of the sundae with no toppings. Okay, the slope. The slope is 0.75, and it is the rate of change. And I told you guys could fill in one sentence every single time. For every 1x, y changes by m. So in this case, for every one topping, the cost I'm going to be paying 75 cents. 75 cents more. That's what the slope means in the context of the problem. It's a rate of change, 75 cents for every one topping. 75 cents for every one topping. Okay? All right. So if K paid $6 for a sundae, how many toppings were on K's sundae? Well, toppings is T, and this is the cost. And so F at T is the cost. So I'm going to set the function equal to 6. And I'm going to solve for T. All right, so I'm going to subtract 225. So that's going to give me, oh goodness, let me grab my calculator to do that quickly. So 6, that's going to give me 6 minus 2.25 gives me 3.75 equals 0.75t, and I'm going to divide by 0.75t, or 7.75, and so t equals 5. So if she paid $6, then she had 5 toppings. All right, guys, that was a review of the second part of the quiz. Hopefully that helped. I do still want you to meet me because I'm going to give you some questions that are similar for you to show me that you understand what we just went over. Have a great day.